we're going to be sat there 10 whole days doing absolutely nothing, just meditating for 10 hours with breaks in between, and having a session, a 1-hour session at the end of the day where we were guided, where experiences were shared, and we were given short talks on what to expect and how to stay safe. Sitting in one spot, doing nothing, going nowhere in a hurry. That sounded like torture out there in the wilderness. With people I didn't know, people I probably was never going to meet my entire life going forward. The first thing I learned is that pain is not real. And I say this with a lot of shock myself. So when we started, the first 3 days were like hell, like going to hell and coming back. Don't take my word for it. Sit in one spot for about 20, 25, 30 minutes. Don't move. Just stay put and listen to your body. Just listen for what happens. No, you don't have to cite or chant any incantations. You don't need to run any rituals. Just sit, and I'm sure you've experienced it. If you go to church or if you go to a seminar, you sit down and at some point you notice that it feels like your butt has gotten tender. You start feeling pain. But then if you just were to move ever so slightly, you come back to steady state. That pain disappears. It's almost as if it just fizzled the way it went up in smoke, got pulverized. For me, I had come this far. I left my family. I took a holiday. I took days off my holidays. Days off work, unpaid for, unsponsored, to come this far because I wanted to reset. I was looking for my purpose, and I wanted to connect with whatever it is that animates me. I did not bother giving it a name at that time. The principle is simple. If you're looking for the unknown, you don't want to start by giving it a name. You want that unknown to introduce itself, himself, herself. You just make it clear who you're looking for, that force of good, and you go with a strong anchor. The teachings that you have learned your entire life. I had a name, and that name I took with me, the name that represented what I was looking for, Jesus. So the first 3 days I'm sat in what was excruciating pain, usually within the 30-minute mark. The pain was so excruciatingly vivid. It was palpable. It was like I could touch it. I could feel it reverberate through my body. Every part of me was seething, and the concentration of this pain was in my butt. By the third day, I noticed something. Breath work. I realized that if life were a stallion, a horse, then breathing would be the reins, and that with breath I could control my pain, or the pain I felt. I later on carried out research, and I noticed that before anesthetics were discovered or created, I'm careful about how I use the word invented. Before anesthetics, people used to use breath work to manage pain. So it is nothing esoteric. It is an ability and a capability that we all have. It's a gift that we all have. So I used my breath work to manage the pain. And at some point, I broke past the psychosomatic pain barrier into a place where I felt something different. There was no one to blame. There was no one to point a finger at. It was just me, myself, and I. So where do you go? Or who do you complain to? Who do you point a finger at? It dawned on me experientially that what we call pain is nothing other than our conscious mind and our subconscious mind exchanging notes in conflict with each other. All the lies we tell ourselves. These show up in our bodies as the scar we call pain. It's a chemical reaction. And pain comes in two flavors. There is physical pain, which is as real as I'm talking to you, although it's just a chemical reaction. I'd call it a chemical imbalance. When the things you fed your mind and the things that are in your subconscious are out of sync, as you start relaxing, the conscious mind and the subconscious minds start exchanging notes. As they exchange notes, some things will align, other things will conflict. That is the source of that pain, that burning sensation. And when that fire starts burning within, we can live it at the physical level if we ride it. So we acknowledge it, but we don't do anything with it. We let it pass. Or we give that pain meaning and we connect it. We ascribe it a certain value, and it takes us to all the hurt we have ever experienced in our lives. So what do I mean by this? You feel a sensation of discomfort and you go shopping looking for references to back up the sensation that you're feeling. You're looking for something to justify the way you are feeling. You go back to an experience, you go back to your spouse or to that friend who annoyed you, or the colleague who infuriated you, or the manager who disrespected you, because that feeling has to make sense. Now, where I was, it was just me, myself, and I. So there was no place to run to, no place to seek refuge from. There was no dodging. I had to look in the mirror. And I can assure you, you don't always like what you see. It's 8 minutes. These will be 10 minutes, 10-minute segments. I'll make sure I don't go beyond 10 minutes. I'll pick up from here. Tomorrow, we will talk about pain and what's on the other side of pain. But I've still got a minute so we can complete this segment. So whenever we feel discomfort, we look around us for something to justify what we are feeling. And if we find something and it doesn't quite meet the threshold of the pain, then we look for something else. And it's important that we understand that the pain that we carry, that trauma that is locked in us, the scars of experiences past, present, and potentially future, fears that crystallize within us, always look for an outlet because they are trapped in the body somehow. And how does this happen? Because of the way we process our environment. That processing will either lead us to growth or it stalls us, just as digestion, when it goes wrong, will lead to constipation or it leads to assimilation. It's important that we make the distinction between the two. We digest food, we process thoughts. These are different kinds of digestion. One is virtual, the other one is physical. And it's for this reason that the sacred book says, there is the power of life and death lies in the tongue. The word of God would actually nourish the soul, which is why we pray when we do, which is why we all believe in affirmations for those who do, which is why we believe in living purposeful and purpose-filled lives, as those who believe in vision boards will tell you. Your vision board forces you to do a deep dive and to ask yourself what it is you're called to do. What are your gifts? What are your abilities? What are your capabilities? What are your talents? And what direction are they leading you? Are you doing the right thing for the wrong reasons? Are you doing the wrong things for the right reasons? I was having this conversation with my son earlier, and today he was finding himself. So we have these deep conversations. It's a joy that we can have these conversations and connect at that level. And he wanted an example of what doing the wrong thing for the right looks like. Can you think of an example? Imagine you have this thing for people. You want to be able to serve people. And so you go into the medical profession and you decide to specialize as a surgeon, which means you're going to have to cut people open. But you forget one thing. You can't stand the sight of blood. It doesn't matter how hard you work, how hard you try. If you don't overcome that hurdle, if it is not something that you can overcome, you become a liability in that space. And it may not be something you're wired to do. What if you became a psychologist? You don't have to deal with blood, not the slightest bit. And you could actually realize you were a natural in that area. If you did that switch, you'd be doing the right thing for the right reasons, as opposed to doing the right thing for the wrong reasons. So yes, you are in the health space, which is where you should be, just in the wrong specialty, because you can't stand blood, and it's so innate, so deeply entrenched that you can't control it. You can't help yourself in that particular space. You see blood, you just pass out. Now you can spend the rest of your life trying to deal with that problem to eventually become the medical doctor you were, or the surgeon you so aspire to become. Or if you realize that you are actually a natural when it comes to psychology and the psychosis of the mind, the travails, the ins and outs of thought, the brain, how we work, how we function, what drives us, what motivates us, what inspires us to aspire, then you go in that direction and all's good. Now, what's another example of doing the wrong thing for the right reasons? Imagine you need to sustain yourself and you decide to go into marketing, and you have no marketing skills whatsoever. You're not a people's person. You can't even stand people. You're doing it because you believe there is money to be made. In this case, you're doing the wrong thing for all the right reasons, because obviously you need to sustain yourself. Your choice of tool is just not the right one. But what is right? This is where purpose comes to bear in this conversation. It is important for us to get to know who we are. And of course, it helps if we know whose we are. Because then we bring ourselves to a place of just being. And when we are in the still of this silence, we connect with something bigger than us. We connect with something deeper than ourselves in the flesh. And when we connect with that thing, there is seamless communication between who we are in the flesh. That entity that animates us, the thing which, when we lose, we are pronounced dead. And ultimately, the one in between, which makes you and I unique in every sense of the word. In many ways, it is packed in our DNA, and it can be guided and driven naturally and nurturally. So this bespeaks the difference between nature and nurture, which means our experiences will wire every last one of us in a particular way. We will have certain inclinations, we will have certain predilections, we will have certain leanings naturally based on our genetic makeup and the environment in which we find ourselves. It's for this same reason that some plants will thrive in the desert, the cactus plant. But if you were to take it and were to put it in an evergreen forest where it has all the nutrients, and you would think it was in the best of favorable conditions, it would actually wither and die. So what's going on there? Just as if you were to take a plant that has the evergreen forest as its natural habitat and as its home, if you were to take it to the desert and you were to plant it next to an oasis, it would still wither and die because it just hasn't got the genetic makeup, hasn't got the gifts, the abilities, the capabilities, and the talents to survive in that space. So we will leave this at that. 17 minutes, that's way too long. I need to be able to bring these conversations down to 10 minutes maximum. 5 minutes would even be better. So I'll see if I can break this down into segments, maybe 3 segments of 5 minutes, thereabouts, and we should be good. Stay tuned for our next conversation. Next, we will wrap up on pain, and we will see what's on the other side. I give you a hint. The experiences that we have, good, bad, and ugly, are ultimately just triggers that bring out from within us that which we carry on the inside, good, bad, or ugly. I'll see you on the other side.